Whereas summative
This call is now
evaluation,
being recorded.
example refers to the semester part, external validity, accountability to others. And here for the formative evaluation, methods and procedures are flexible. It facilitates decision to make modification in the strategies and processes on a continuous basis. Whereas in summative evaluation, we find what? That it is the product evaluation to facilitate, that is at the end of the program, it comes to modify the program in future. So in this way, the things that were left behind in yesterday's class, I have given a just summarized view of that. Then we'll move on to our today's block, that is your MES-15 operational dimension of education, block 3, educational operations at micro level. So it consists of organization of learning experiences in face-to-face mode, organizing learning experiences at micro level through your ODLS, that is open and distance learning system, curriculum transaction in classroom situation, and curriculum transaction in ODLS. So it consists of 4 units. Then we'll move on to the first part. What about learning experience? So those experiences which contribute to the positive shaping of human behavior are considered to be the learning experience. And here the individual acquires learning experience throughout his life. Society has created formal educational institutions like school, colleges to impart vast amount of learning experiences in a well-designed learning environment. So in formal educational institution, we find that the experiences that are given or that are provided during the teaching learning process are all pre-planned. It has some prefixed objectives and goals to receive, and accordingly the methodology is selected basing upon the curriculum, and it also includes what? Curricular and co-curricular activities. So here, that is the subjects which are referring to the curricular achievement or scholastic achievement includes what? That is related, directly related to your subject matters or subjects like your mathematics, science, history, economics, language. And those which are related to co-curricular activities, they refer to your non-scholastic activities, that is your debate, discussion, sports, games, and different types of competitions, literary competitions. They refer to your co-curricular or non-scholastic activities. So both of them are equally important. That is your curricular and co-curricular, both of them are equally important, so that all-round development of personality is possible. So organizing the curricular experiences. So for organizing curricular experiences, different types of different types of planning is to be carried out. For example, a method refers to the way learning experiences or the message are organized in a sequenced manner, that which method a teacher should follow. There are several methods like lecture method, discussion method, question answer method, debate, seminar, project work, computer assisted learning. So here we can see the different types of methods are categorized under 3 headings. One where the teacher controls the method, it is known as the teacher control method. Another where the learner occupies the main focus point, that is the learner control method. And another one is the group control method, where the groups perform the active role. So in this way, we have 3 types of teaching learning environment, and in a classroom, we find 3 types. One is the teacher controlled teaching learning environment, another one is the learner controlled teaching learning environment, and another one is the group controlled teaching learning environment. All of the 3 are equally important. If we take the first example, that is teacher control method, we have the lecture method. That is where the teacher communicates the new information through the process of lecturing. So it can be a one-way communication or a two-way communication. That is one-way communication in the sense, for example, now I'm giving you the important points regarding this particular block or this particular unit. And if there is some doubt, if you are asking me and again I'm clarifying the doubt, then it becomes a two-way process. But if only I am speaking it out, then it becomes a one-way process. So here lecture can be both one-way or two-way. And for planning a lecture, there is what is the organization of a lecture, how it is to be organized. So planning of a lecture is the in a systematic planning should be done. Planning a lecture entails a number of activities, that is the type of content to be taught, the instructional objectives, what are the instructional objectives, the type of communication procedure, the communication media to be taken up, the teaching learning materials to be utilized. All of these things are equally important. So here we see that we use the OHP, that is overhead projector or chalkboard, computer, proper sitting arrangement, the equipments for conducting different types of science practicals. All of these things are required, and these all things are to be planned beforehand before the delivery of the lecture. Then only the teaching can flow, or teaching learning process will have a smooth flow. Then introducing a topic. The introduction should be done in that way so that the student's past knowledge is to be connected to the new one. How to introduce a topic, how to relate the new knowledge with the old one. All these things are to be taken care of. Then during the development phase, the type of teaching learning things that materials to be utilized, how to do the blackboard work, how to explain a thing with different kinds of examples, the type of voice modulation, the type of eye contact, the body language, everything comes under the development phase. Then finally the consolidation phase. Here the teacher summarizes, recapitulates what she has explained throughout the class. That is the overall view. Then the question answer session is carried out during this period. Then only the teacher will able to get the feedback whether the class was justified or not, whether the learning objectives was the teacher was able to achieve the learning objectives or not. Then what are the advantages of this lecture method? Different types of subjects can be taught through this particular lecturing method. Again, here we see this alternative is adaptable to a variable teacher-student ratio. This can be used with 5 to 6 students, even more than that also. And this lecture technique is very economical and can be made very effective with proper planning and execution. So here, these are the advantages of lecture method using as a teacher control method of teaching learning process. And what is the disadvantage? Sometimes it becomes that only the teacher is speaking and the student has no role to play, is just like a passive listener. So that way, it can be also very dull and monotonous. And the teacher requires a lot of effective writing, speaking, modeling skills. Then only the lecture method can be successful. What about demonstration? In practical classes, we see that the demonstration is carried out. It means showing how something is to be done. The teacher has to carry it out in front of the students. Only then the students will be able to learn it, learning by doing it out. So showing how something is to be done or not to be done through demonstration, a teacher models the behavior of presentation, analysis, and synthesis. The student's role is that of an observer and recorder of information. So here the student role is what? The student has to record what are the steps that are carried out, and here the information is recorded and observed by the student. And the teacher performs the entire activity and students try to learn it out after observing or after recording it out. Then here, proper planning and preparing for classroom demonstration is a must. Communication should be properly done. And here, the plan of the demonstration will create interest among the students. Students have to be informed that what are we going to learn today, what kind of demonstration it will be all about, what are the apparatus that are required, how you are going to carry out the experiment. All of this should be presented before the student. Then the real teaching should start after that. Communication should be there. One should not hurry through the demonstration. Just to cover up the course, one should not hurry about. Then make sure that the demonstration is observed by all the students. All of the students should actively observe it. Then only they'll able to learn it out. Then after the demonstration, summarize the thing. And even some written material is to be given to the students so that they'll be able to correlate what they have seen, and accordingly they'll carry out the experiment. So this particular demonstration method helps in what? Development of social skills, that is cooperation, fellow feeling, sympathy, and empathy. And here the teacher needs to be well advanced with the different types of skills. Then only the teacher will be able to perform it perfectly, and the students will be able to learn it perfectly. Then what about team teaching? In this method, a team of teachers is responsible for organizing learning experience. It is an innovation in teaching in which two or more teachers plan, execute, and evaluate learning experience of a group of students. So here we see that a group of teachers by the very name team refers to what? One teacher teaches the introduction part, another comes and explains the body part, finally another one comes and give you the overall conclusion or summarizes it. So accordingly, we have different types of what? Team teaching. Examples are what? Team teaching in the same class period. That is, here the three members or two teachers come one by one. They present their topic. The same topic in the same class is to be discussed by the first teacher. Then the second part of that particular topic is to be discussed by the second teacher. Then specialized based team teaching, where different subject specialization are responsible. So here, for example, if we are teaching the economic life of people of Indus Valley civilization, a teacher of economics and a teacher of history can form a team to teach the concept. One will teach the economics part of it, economic lifestyle of Indus Valley people, and another one will give the historical background. Then only both the subject specialists will be able to do justice in teaching it. Therefore, it is known as a team teaching because more than one teacher is involved in the teaching learning process. What about ability based team teaching? So, here we see that the sharing of the unit is done on the basis according to the subject specialization but according to the abilities also. So here we see that there are different abilities and skills involved in activities, like one who is good in lecturing, that particular teacher will be handed out the first part. Then one who is good in giving demonstration, then the teacher who is good in giving demonstration will be given the second part. In this way, both the groups, that is those who are giving the lecturing part and also those who are able to demonstrate the lesson properly, and there are some people who are able to do group discussion in a very good way. So all the three abilities are to be combined, so therefore it is known as ability based team teaching. And in this way, here we can see that a group will be organized where each of them have to deliver the lesson, and the overall contribution will help in having a good teaching learning session. Then the relay style of team teaching. Here in this approach, one teacher follows another teacher after he completes the teaching a unit. One particular unit is taught by one particular teacher, then the second teacher just takes part of teaching or takes the role of teaching immediately after the first one completes. So for example, one unit is completed by teacher A, then the second unit will be completed by teacher B. In this way, the relay style of team teaching is carried out. What about questioning? So questioning is a powerful technique which can be used in teaching any subject area. It is very interactive and meaningful, and even immediate feedback, whether the student has able to understand or not, the teacher can immediately will be able to get a feedback regarding that, whether the teaching was successful or not. Again, the question should be stated very clearly and precisely. Then we should see that each and every student is attentively listening or not. So here, pause after asking the question and allow it to hang overhead. That means after asking a particular question, one should give a time to the student to give the proper answer. That is, the student should be given a minimum time limit to prepare it, stand up and give the answer. Then provide immediate feedback to the student. Yes, very good. You have given the right answer. No, you should improve in this part. You should try hard. This much you have given, some of the points of your answer is correct and some of it is not correct. So in this way, you should motivate the students to give correct answers. Then knowledge, what type of questions that can be asked? Questions can be asked at various level. For the taking the example of Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives, knowledge level question is there, comprehension level questions are there, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation, and there can be also questions like probing questions. That is to motivate students to go beyond their response and help themselves in solving the problem. Then open-end questions, where the student will get the liberty to answer or give their own creative expression, give their own viewpoint. There are some convergent questions also. That is, on a particular idea or in or point, they are meant for inducing a principle or deducing an answer. There are some divergent questions also, which are helpful to draw a student's attention away from one point and allow it to have a creative freedom to settle on different but related points. Then we find the second part, that is the learner control method. Learner control method where more emphasis is given on the student or the learner. The first example is given is what here, that is programmed instruction, which has been developed by who? B.F. Skinner on operant conditioning. According to this theory, behavior is learned only when it is reinforced. So here the entire subject matter is divided into small bits of information and presented in different frames, and each frame carries a question to which the learner has to respond. The learner response is reinforced by the feedback in the next time. The learner learns according to his own pace, and it is an individualized form of learning. There are different types of program instruction. It may be linear programming or branching programming. So here we see the entire subject matter is divided into some small fragments or what is known as frames. One particular thing is taught, and after that a question is asked. If the student answers the question correctly, then he moves on to the next frame. And if there is no correct answer to that particular question, then the same frame is repeated or remedial instruction is given. In this way, we have two kinds of programming. One is the linear programming, another one is branching programming. Linear words come from the that is just like a straight line. We move on to one frame, to the second, to the third, then finally to the last frame. That is, it is from number 1 to the last number of frames that have been included by the teacher for the flow of knowledge, and it is to be logically arranged, that is from simple to complex. Then in the branching style also, we have frames that are connected serially in a systematic way. And here we see the difference is what between the linear and branching. That is, in the first frame, the information is given, then a question is asked, then it is written that if it is a correct answer, then move on to the next frame. And if it is a wrong answer, then move on to the remedial frame where you will get clarity about what you have made the mistake, and accordingly you will modify your things and move on to the next higher order of framework. In this way, we move on to the linear and branching type of learning material. For stages for development of program learning material, proper planning and preparation of the program is needed, writing of the program is needed, and evaluation of the program is to be done. For here we see that for planning, that is the learner's ability, the type of topic to be selected, who are the learners, what are their characteristics, the type of instructional objectives, all of these things are to be taken care of before planning and preparing the program instruction material. Then what about writing the program? For writing out the program, we have the introductory frames where we introduce the information, then the teaching frames where we provide new knowledge, then the practice frame where drilling is done. More than one we practice that, so that the student will have a practice or drill of that particular thing, will be thorough about what he has learned. Then the testing frame, that are the final frame where the evaluation is carried out, and accordingly the teacher gets the feedback. So it has to be arranged in a very proper order, systematic way, logically arranged, and evaluation should be done in such a manner so that the proper feedback is get. And we have to see that here individual testing is done, then small group testing is done, then the field testing is done. So if the target group, here we see in individual testing, the testing is done in one-to-one basis. This may be that is the program designer or one representative to the target group for whom the program is meant is involved in the testing activity. That you select a one particular child, give him or her that particular program, how the child is reacting, how the child is able to understand it or not, then therefore it is known as an individual testing. If we do the testing upon 5 to 6 students, then it becomes small group testing. Then if it is done in a larger group of the target population, then it is known as the field testing. In this way, the program is evaluated and the success of the program is seen, and accordingly it is applied to the target population. Then comes the project work. What is it? Here we see that a project is a significant practical unit of activity having educational value and aimed at one or more definite goals of understanding involves investigation and solution of problems, the use and manipulation of physical materials planned and carried to completion by pupils and teachers in a natural real life manner. So here project work is carried out. Here we see that instructional method, it is an effective instructional method. It requires participation of both the teacher and student with the initiative and direction of the teacher. The teacher has to give direction how to carry out the project, where to collect the data, how to engage in the project work. Everything has to be sorted out by the teacher. The type of library work, the laboratory work, the field work, how to prepare for the project work, that is appropriate selection of the topic, formulation of the objectives, and here the time within which the thing has to be done, project has to be completed, then what will be the evaluation criteria, outline the evaluation procedures. These all things are referring under the preparation of project work. Then the task at the implementation stage. So here, organizing a preliminary briefing session for the students, forming groups for the group projects, then selecting a proper topic, checking the students' progress regularly, encouraging them, then assessing the project in accordance with the plan scheme, whether the project is moving according to the planning or it is not, then organizing an effective group, briefing the session, and evaluating the efficiency and effectiveness. Then finally, in the evaluation part, what we see, here we evaluate both the product of the project. And here the product of the project may be some concrete material or the project report. So from the project report, we'll be able to know whether the instructional objectives have been achieved or not. So here we have the planning stage, then we have the implementation stage, and finally the reporting stage. And then we move on to CAI. CAI is what? Here, computer is a very useful device for teachers at different levels of teaching, and it enhances students' motivation and individualized instruction. The computer is ideal for what? Developing questionnaires, surveys, writing reports, outlines, summarizing data in charts or graphs, and making the calculations required for data analysis. So here CAI, where we take the help of computer, therefore computer assisted instruction. And computer also provides feedback to the student on basis of his or her performance. Then we find different types of CAI program. There are drill and practicing program, tutorial mode program, where the information is presented in small steps followed by a question. There are simulation mode is there, where learning experience is related to real life phenomena. There is discovery mode. This mode is inductive approach to learning in which problems are presented and students have to solve them through trial and error method also. There is also gaming mode where the playway method is utilized. So in this way, we see CAI has different modes of computer assisted instruction, has different modes of teaching. Then we move on to the group control method. So in the first part where we see discussion or group discussion. So it is group based learning method, and here all the members they take active participation in this group discussion. Organization should be done in a proper way. The teacher should give sufficient background information so that they already possess it and are ready to use it in the discussion. Then the instructional potential, that is higher cognitive abilities are developed through this group discussion method. There is here all the participants have to participate. There should be a group leader or a moderator who have to present the view of that particular group. There is also debate. Debate is what here we see. It is suitable for controversial themes and issues. That is, one group speaks for the topic and another group speaks against the topic. And accordingly, they have to gather information. They have to jot out all the points. Then they have to present in front of the audience. They should give the arguing and the counter arguing, especially by the previous speakers. All of these things are to be taken care of, and they should not have any kind of audience consciousness or stage fear. They should be able to present them properly with good voice modulation, with proper body language. All of these are very important. Then what about panel discussion? For more complex and complicated or controversial topics, we have panel discussion. A panel discussion is a good choice as it brings out difficult aspects in a constructive manner. There is what we see that it has such topic, for example, introduction of grading system in the place of marking system. There are different views. Some of them may say that yes, grading system is good. Some of them will say no, marking system is more better in comparison to the grading system. So depending upon the view, there will be controversial views also. So how to solve it? It can be solved through the panel discussion. There should be organization, members of the panel could be selected. That is, students can be there, teachers can be there. Both students and teachers can also form different groups. Then here we see questions regarding a topic is there. Then the moderate initiates the discussion, and accordingly, one by one, they present their view. And finally, what we see, the instructional potential. The uniqueness of this is what, how you come to the conclusion, what is the final outcome of this particular discussion. Then we move on to brainstorming. Brainstorming is what is the type of group method where the creative ability of the student is developed. Here we can see problems which demand creative or innovative solution can be presented by the teacher to the students for brainstorming, and the teachers, then students come up with a list of consequences and the teacher writes them up on the blackboard, and here they discuss which is the right solution or which is the best solution of that particular problem. So problem oriented topic is to be selected and students should be given ample freedom to express themselves. Then what about tutorials? So tutorials are generally used as group control teaching methods, and here tutorials are informal group situation in which the teacher works as just like a guidance worker. And here the teacher solves the problem of the students either individually or in a group. And students will discuss his or her problem with the teacher in an informal manner. And the teacher, just like a guidance worker, will try to solve the different types of problem of the student. Then it is very flexible in nature and it also helps in developing interpersonal relationship. Then what about simulation through role playing? So this alternative is use of developing many skills in students like decision making, communication, building interpersonal relationship. And here simulation is an alternative which has many facets like instruction through mechanical simulation, computer control simulators, and then educational games, role playing. So here lifelike situations can be simulated inside a classroom and there can be dialogue delivery. Then episodes can be there. Creative expression of the students will be encouraged. How they play a role. They'll take some important topic, burning topic of the society, how they are playing it out, what kind of dialogue delivery they are there, and what type of presentation of that particular topic. This will improve what? Communication skill, interpersonal skill, decision making skill. Then we move on to cooperative learning method. So here cooperative learning method is a group control learning method in which students learn in cooperative groups. These groups are assigned learning tasks that are to be performed by the students collectively. So collectively it is to be done, and here we should see that social skills like cooperation, fellow feeling, leadership qualities are there. Then organizing a cooperative learning requires proper formation of the group, preparation of cooperative learning sheets, orientation to the students is to be done, conducting cooperative learning sessions. So in this way, we see the different types of teacher control, learner control, and group control curricular methods of teaching. Then we move on to co-curricular activities. So here we find different types of co-curricular activities like literary activities, that is story writing. Then we see that library work, then physical development activities like games, drill, parade, NCC, then some aesthetic and cultural development, that is dancing, drawing, music, singing, these all. Then civil development activities like your mock parliament, organizing of school panchayat, then social welfare activities like social services on special occasions like fairs, festivals, then leisure time activities, for example, coin collection, photography, stamp collection, then excursion activities like picnic, study tour, visit to museum. So these all are equally important, just like your curricular activities. Then only we can say that all-round development of personality will take place. Then here we see that organization of literary and cultural activities. Here it should be organized according to the interest and desire of the learner. That is, students' interest should be taken care of, ability should be taken care of, activity should be worked out for the success of the program. Well, planning should be there, nothing should be imposed on the student, and there should be different committees. That is, subcommittees should be organized. That is, for example, for carrying out a proper program, there should be stage committee, decoration committee, sitting arrangement, reception committee, invitation committee, overall organization committee. And here activities should be supported by teachers, principals, parents, and community members. So although the students will do all these things, but they are to be properly guided by by their teachers, principal, parents. Then only the success of the program will be there. Then we move on to the organization of physical education activities. That is, your different types of indoor games are there. For example, table tennis, badminton, chess, these are referring to the indoor game. And the outdoor games for proper physical development is what is playing of football, volleyball, hockey, cricket. So these are equally important because a sound mind rests in a healthy body. So for proper physical development is needed for proper mental development. Then we move on to what? That is organizing learning experiences at micro level through your, what we say, that is open and distance learning system, that is known as ODLS. So what about self-learning? Self-learning is what? Which emphasis on learning rather than teaching, recognition of individual differences, active learner participation. Here the learner will learn at his own pace and provision of feedback and evaluation. Here the student learns more effectively when they learn on their own. The self-learning prepares the student to face the problem in his or her real life. Learning on one's own is very enjoyable and exciting and rewarding. So here self-learning material should be prepared following these all major characteristics that are included in the self-learning materials. That is, self-learning material should be what? Self-explanatory. That is, after reading the thing, the student should himself be able to understand. They should be self-explanatory, very easy to understand, and the language will be very easy, student-friendly, and the student will be able to understand. Pictures should be there, that forms of pictures or graphics should be there, visual presentation should be there, that the student will be able to understand through pictures also. It should be self-directed, self-contained, self-motivating, and even self-evaluating. So in this way, that is, the design of self-learning material should be in this way, just like the flowchart, that is, the program is there, then the self-learning materials, then unit-wise planned, then section-wise planned, then finally the subsection. So in this way, the entire thing is to be taken care of. We can take the example of our own book, where we find that is these all books, that is your MES, different types of MES 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. These are all self-learning materials of this IGNOU classes, where we find what? That is, your introduction is there, then some objectives are there, then the main theme is there, then some subsections are there, then we find let's sum up. At the end of every unit we find let's sum up, then suggested reading is also there, then finally answers to check your progress. That is, also some question answers are also there. After the end of each unit you'll find some questions are also there, some suggested reading materials are also there, so that the entire thing comes or gives the picture of a self-learning material. So here we have some opening section, then we have the instructional objectives of the unit, and instructional objectives are there in the behavioral terms. That is, we follow the Bloom's taxonomy. That is, general objectives are there, some specific objectives are written in action verbs. For example, knowledge, it is the first level, then we move on to comprehension, then we move on to application, then the analysis, then the synthesis, finally the evaluation part. In this way we cover up the instructional objective. Then the main body, it is to be written in a simple and easy way, and the language should be familiar to the learner, and here the themes and sub themes should be arranged in a very easy to difficult way, simple to complex, known to unknown. From these are maxims to be followed while preparing the learning material. And in the concluding section, the summary part or let's sum up should be there. That is, it will give you a wholesome idea about what you have learned in that particular unit. Then what about formative evaluation? That is done during the teaching learning process. And here, check your progress. In between, there are some check your progress or self-check questions are there. They are being given so that you'll be able to understand that what you have understood, how far you have grasped the learning material. This will provide you with the feedback. Then academic counseling. Academic counseling is what? So here we see that learning experiences are organized on face-to-face mode at the study centers on weekends. In weekends, we find academic class sessions where the teacher and taught they are in the face-to-face mode. Doubt clearing classes are there. So here the doubts that are there, the students should have just written them out in a separate sheet and they'll ask it in the face-to-face counseling mode, and the teacher is to clarify it out. And it consists of informing, advising, and counseling part. These are the three activities that are carried out in this academic counseling session. Then, what about the stages of academic counseling? There is a pre-entry stage, then we have the entry stage, then during the course stage, then during examination, then finally the post-study stage. So in this way, there are different stages that are carried out in your academic counseling. Sometimes in the face-to-face counseling, we have that is sometimes very time consuming and expensive also. And here we have group counseling also, telephonic counseling there, counseling by letters, counseling by handbook, counseling by audio video programs. The one which is going on now is the example of counseling by your, that is your through internet, or here we see that both audio and video, that is, it is a two-way type of communication is going on. Then type of assignments. Assignments are there, that is assignment helps us to know that is how far the student have understood. It gives us the feedback, that is whether the teacher was able to achieve the instructional objectives or not. Then tutor marked assignments are there. Then computer marked assignments, that is those which are corrected by the tutor or the teacher is known as your evaluated by the academic counselors are known as tutor marked assignments. And if that is corrected by the computer, that is known as your computer marked assignments. Those we are that for example your OMR sheet, that is your optical mark reader, that is there in our competitive exam, that is the computer corrects it out, and the objective type or multiple choice type questions are there, and it is evaluated by the computer. Then evaluation of assignment and assignment comments. The type of positive type of comment should be there. It should be always constructive, global comments, personal comments, and that should help the learner to motivate the learner to learn more. And it should not be harmful comments or hollow comments or misleading comments or null comments or negative comments should not be there. Then only the student will be motivated to learn more. Then we have the audio video program. Audio video programs, that is both you can hear it out and also see. So it will help you as supplementary materials to the print materials, that is your CD format is given so that you can play it out and read them. Then we move on to project work. Project work refers to what? That is through project work, learners are expected to study in depth one problem in their area of subject and find solutions to that problem. So there are project proposals and that is to be accepted, and after the acceptance of the proposal, then the entire project is carried out, the research work is carried out. Finally, the research report is submitted for evaluation. There are some practical work also. That is in the computer science, the practical work is carried out in computer labs. In other science subjects, there are some laboratory work carried out. So these are important. And for example, in teacher education program, the trainees, that is the pupil teachers, they go for what? That is your classroom teaching. That is where they learn how to teach to the students. That is after giving demo classroom teaching, the trainees learn, and how they practice, they go for practice teaching. Then we find what? The emerging technologies, teleconferencing. It is the latest technology which connects electronically a number of users located at different places to interact through audio, video, or computer technology. So here we take the example of what? That is Different types of technology have advanced. Use of technology in the field of education. There are types of teleconferencing. One is audio teleconferencing, another one is video teleconferencing, another one is your computer teleconferencing. So here we see that it can be two-way conferencing or one-way conferencing. For example, if we take the example of video conferencing, is a teleconferencing technology in which both the learner and the teacher can see and hear each other. So if both of them can see and hear each other, then it becomes two-way video conferencing. If only the teacher is able to, only the student is able to see and the teacher is not able to see the students, then it becomes one-way video conferencing. Then we have computer conferencing, where computer-based meeting is organized, and here we see what that is. These include what the type of seminars, small group activities, debates, assignments, and guest expert visits, problem solving. These are included in your what computer conferencing. Then we have move on to what that is your mobile communication is there also. Here it is that is satellite based communication can help learners at two level. One level will be what that is the use of cellular phone, radio gadgets, which will allow them to remain in touch with the teacher while they are on move from one place to another. It is expected that in future, more number of learners would be mobile for their work or business purpose. Secondly, specially designed mobile vans will be there. Vehicles or vans will be there fitted with the audio equipment. Talkback facilities can be developed. These vans can move from place to place. Impact of conduct on the spot education. Interested groups can be created around a learning center. For example, now a village will be selected where the van will go, and the interested groups will be created over there in remote areas where learners will not be able to join. Only at that place, the learners will be called to that area and they will be joining it, and their problems, the resource person will clarify their doubts. So, with the help of using satellite technology. Then we have CD-ROMs, interactive radio counseling. Then what about online teaching? This is the best example. The teaching that is going on now is the best example of online teaching, where both audio video thing is there. It can be taken an example of two-way communication where both the teacher and student can see each other even though they are at the distance, but they are able to see each other, hear it out, and also clear their doubt. Then we move on to what that is curriculum transaction at classroom situation. So here curriculum transaction at classroom situation, proper planning of instruction is a must. So planning should be done. Otherwise, the entire teaching learning process will be just like a monotonous or boring activity. So for planning, there should be course planning, unit planning, and lesson planning. That is, course planning will come to unit planning, then unit planning will come to your lesson planning. The course plan includes different units. Then units has some subunits, and each subunit has some lessons under it. Then finally, the last part is the planning the lesson with appropriate learning experiences. Then only the overall planning is to be done. Diagrammatic representation is also there in your book, where a format of lesson plan is there. There is the entry behavior, then we have the general objectives, then we have the method to be followed, the type of teaching learning materials to be used, then the approach, then how to introduce a topic, then the overall presentation part, then finally the recapitulation or the end, the summarizing part. The blackboard summary work is to be done. Then the questions or assignments are given so that the proper feedback is found out whether the student was able to understand it and there was success in teaching or not. Then what about steps in instructional planning? Then the content analysis. Content analysis refers to identifying various concepts and proposition in a given content and structuring and sequencing of the content. That is formulation of instructional objectives, selection of method and media, the organizing of teaching learning activities, carrying out of assessment. All of these things are to be taken care of when we are discussing the content analysis. Then formulation of instructional objectives. Instructional objectives are to be done if they are seen for the Cognitive domain, we have three domains. One is the cognitive domain, that is referring to your mental development part. Then we have the affective domain, that is the feeling part, and the psychomotor part is what? The doing aspect. All of them three are equally important. Then only we can have an wholesome personality development. For the cognitive domain, we follow the taxonomy of educational objectives given by Bloom, that is in the year 1956. So first we move on to the knowledge, that is the remembering part, comprehension, ability to grasp the meaning of a material, application, ability to use the learned material, analysis, ability to break down the material into its component parts, synthesis, ability to put parts together to form a new whole, then evaluation, ability to judge the value of a material for a given purpose. So in this way, the objectives or instructional objectives, they move from the simplest part, that is the knowledge, and to the most difficult part, that is the evaluation. So we move from knowledge, then comprehension, then the higher order application, then above it analysis, then above it synthesis, then the final part is the evaluation part. Then what about the affective domain? So affective domain, here affective domain refers to the interest, attitude, opinions, then the appreciation here, and the emotional setup. And here we see that is the teaching purpose is to change the attitude behavior rather than only to transmit information. So here the affective domain includes the different levels. First is the receiving part, then the responding part, then the valuing part, then organization, then characterization of by a value or value complex. Then we move on to the psychomotor domain. So psychomotor domain, we have reflex movement. That is here, motor skill development is important. In cognitive, we have seen the mental development. In affective, we have seen the that is your feeling part or development of your different types of interest, desire. Then finally, the motor skill development or manipulative skill development is required, and that is done through what? That is psychomotor domain, is referring to the psychomotor domain. Then the reflex movements, the basic fundamental movements, the perceptual abilities, physical abilities, skilled movements, non-discursive communication, that is the way you express, you interpret, all of these things in totality is to be taken care of. That is your cognitive, your psychomotor, and affective. Then only we can have an wholesome personality. And here we see we have general instructional objectives and we have specific instructional objectives. That is, general instructional objectives is referring to the entire subject. That is, teaching of general instructional teaching of a particular subject, for example, history. When we are referring to general aims, that is how to give the idea of your timeline, the past and the present. The students will able to understand the ancient time, their lifestyle, their people's lifestyle, food habits, and the way they lead their social life. These are the general objectives. But when we come to the pinpointed chapter, that is specific instructional objectives, it refers to that particular lesson. That is teaching of a chapter related to your Akbar will be different from teaching of instructional objectives related to your Gautam Buddha. So specific instructional objectives is related to the lesson, whereas general instructional objectives or general aims, they are related to the subject. So general objectives referring to the subject, for example, history will be same, whereas more or less same, and specific instructional objective keep on differing from chapter to chapter, from lesson to lesson. That is, Akbar will be different from Gautam Buddha. Gautam Buddha will be different from Mahavir Jaina. Mahavir Jaina will be different from Indus Valley civilization. So it differs from chapter to chapter or lesson to lesson. Therefore, it is known as your specific instructional objectives. Then while selecting the teaching learning materials, that is your TLM, and the selection of methods, it depends upon what? The teacher's ability, the competency of the teacher, how far the teacher is able to utilize it, the mastery of the knowledge, then the learner's characteristic, the learner's previous knowledge, whether the learner will be able to understand by using through this particular methodology or some change is required. So availability of resources is also important. Size of the class, that is whether It is a big class with a lot of students in it, or it is just a tutorial class with 10 to 15 only. Then here we see that is different types of media are used. Audio media, visual non-projected two-dimensional. That is, for example, posters are there, cartoons are there. Visual non-projected three-dimension, your globes, your diagrams, your specimens. Visual projected still, that is your film strips, slides, overhead transparencies. Then your audio visual films are there, television, CCTV, multimedia packages, that is more than one media. That is your slides, radio, films, all these are included. And now the new emerging trends, multi-sensory, what are they? Teleconferencing, video conferencing, mobile technology, then EduSat. These are the example of more higher order media. So here these all things are to be taken care of, that is content to be taught, instructional objectives, ability of the teacher to use those media, learner's characteristics, availability of those media, cost of that, user friendly, pedagogic utility of the media, effective communication, infrastructure facilities. These are to be taken care when we are deciding what type of media we'll be using. Then we have what? That is means of curriculum transaction in classroom situation. Verbal position, teacher talk. It requires what? The type of body language, voice modulation, eye contact, blackboard work. All of these are important. Then only the classroom will be interesting and attractive. And we find what? Classroom discussion. For classroom discussion, both the student and teacher should actively participate. Otherwise, the students will be only passive learners. Questioning and answering. Question answer method is very important. That will give the teacher an idea that whether the teaching was successful or not. And what about learners' participation? Participation of learner is a must. Then only the teaching will be successful. And the students should be provided the freedom to express their viewpoint. Active learning methods are there. For example, brainstorming, seminar, debate, inquiry, discussion. And here we see assessment of classroom lesson. How it can be assessed? It can be assessed through a 5-point scale. That is whether the appropriateness of instructional objectives was there or not, organization of content was there or not, whether the introduction of the lesson was okay, effectively done or not, questions were asked properly or not, then pupil response, how was the pupil's response, then explanation of the teacher was clear or not, proper examples were there or not, appropriate TLM was used or not, then what type of test was given to find out the feedback, the evaluation procedures, all of these things are important. Then the teacher effectiveness, that is, how the teacher will able to know whether the teaching was successful or not. That is, it can be recorded through your CCTV camera. After that, after the teaching procedure, the teacher can go back and visit what are the problems or that was there in his or her teaching through self-observation, through observation of others' teaching, through access research, maintenance of proper dieting. That is, lesson planning or lesson plan book should be maintained, building up proper feedback. Then only we can see that whether the teacher was effective or not. Then curriculum taxation in the ODLS, that is the correspondence education model. There can be one-way communication where print material is given and the learner gets it through postal medium and learns it out. There can be also two-way communication where we can see there will be what? That is the tutor and the student are in the distance mode and the learning material is provided through your print learning material is provided through the postal thing, but assignments are written by the students and corrected by the teacher, and the feedback from the teacher side is given to the student. So in this way, it can be also two way. When the student gets the feedback from the teacher, that is the corrected assignment, the student will be able to know that whether how far he was able to understand what is the modification that is to be done. So in this way, a corrected assignment is to be sent to the students so that the students will be able to understand that is what were his mistakes and how to rectify it. Then there is also, we see that personal contact program or counseling sessions are there where the doubt clearing classes are done. That is known as PCP centers. In the study centers, in the holidays or weekends, they can have contact classes or personal contact
so that the doubt can be cleared. Then we have major characteristics of print-based materials. Their content should be linked to the behavior of the learner. Learners should be motivated. And here we see that open learning materials are directly linked to the needs and requirement of the learner. There should be self-assessment questions should be there. And here easily should be understood and friendly in nature. Lot of pictures and diagrams should be there. Then only the students will be able to understand after seeing the pictures, diagram, flowchart. The main purpose of the assignment. What is the main purpose of the assignment? To know the progress of the learner, to have interaction with the tutors, to get feedback, remedial steps, and to maintain motivation and commitment to the studies. They develop self-confidence and prepare for formal your examination. And the personal contact program help in what? That is clearing of doubt. Then what about use of multimedia model? There are different kinds of multimedia. That is radio broadcast is there. Then educational television, that is ETV. Telephonic tutoring is there. Multimedia based computer instruction is there. Instruction is provided to computer. Then also in CD format instruction is given. Computer disk read only memory. Personal computers with multimedia technology can bring educational facilities to the doorstep of the learner with audio virtual interaction based learning. Then we see what? That is nature of teleconferencing. Teleconferencing, audio teleconferencing is there. Phone in program is there. Then we see video conferencing, which can be two-way interactive, one-way video, two-way audio interaction. Then we have teleseminars, computer-based conferencing. These are some of the examples of different types of teleconferencing. Then what about flexible learning model? Nature of flexible learning model is what? Learning signifies flexibility on the part of the learners to have access to knowledge system, choosing curricular experience of one's own choice, constructing new experiences, and availing optimum benefit from teaching learning system with the help of information technologies. So here, learners control over self-learning is optimum, alternative modes of learning is there, and nature of flexibility, it is independent learning, greater reliance on the high quality of learning resources, greater opportunity to communicate with tutors and among peers, use of ICT, that is information communication and technology. And here we see the mode of delivery of materials, the development of program, content, pace of program, the amount of contact with the tutor. All these are the different aspects of flexible delivery. Then we see that is the role of information and communication technology. The flexible delivery of models is very much dependent upon the use of ICT. Then the structured knowledge, which is taught as per the choice of expert on social system in traditional education system, is also replaced by what? That is the use of ICT. Again, we see that the availability of content, various types of sources that can be given to the doorstep by the use of ICT. Then we see the virtual campus model. Virtual campus model is what? That is a place on the internet where students can go to the take courses, learn on their own, meet with their academic faculty, and interact with the other students. So in a word, virtual campus means what? Learning situation available through what? ICT. That is campus study facility on internet. Not physically, but through internet, through ICT, different types of ICT enabled gadgets. These are programs. That is use of virtual campus. Nature of the virtual campus means what? Creations of networked environment having resemblance of physical world. So it is a networked environment just like a physical classroom. Then there are some group activities. Then virtual lectures are there. Then virtual campus and other forms of ODL. Every see the application of ICT enhance the education so that physical separation between the learner and the teacher is replaced by your virtual campus study. Then we see that the promotion of ICT facility academic point of view. Flexible learning concept is made familiar only through dynamic operation of ICT, while accommodating the principles and policies of open and flexible learning for distance learning. Virtual campus model encourages learner studies global network. So the use of computers, web-based studies, and e-learning helps in meeting the value of virtual education at different stages of it. So in this way, ICT has helped us a lot in providing what instructions to the students, even though they are in the remote places. But to this, what we say that to the networked environment, we are able to get contact with them and provide the learning material. So in this way, we have completed educational operations at micro level. That is your MES-15 block 3. And tomorrow we'll be covering about Act 16. So thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.